Hi, thanks everyone. It's great to be here and really enjoyed the day, so thanks very much. Today I'll be sharing about the Hydrovation Challenge, which was an initiative of the champions back in 2019. And it was really around recognising innovation as being a key to meet future challenges and celebrate innovation within the water sector. So it included entries from regional areas with a selection process where over 20 ideas were presented and narrowed down to 8 finalists. And there was a prize, which is always excellent, of $10,000 in seed funding for the project that was presented and $5,000 for professional development. And all of the ideas that were presented also were able to go through an investment management framework for future consideration. So really recognising the strength of all of the projects that made it that far. So the steps that I undertook for this competition was really around developing a concept idea and thinking about some key innovations that are relevant to where I work at Western Port Water, the smallest water utility in Victoria, covering Phillip Island and sort of the immediate mainland surrounding areas, and contacting staff at Deakin University's Blue Carbon Lab. And after having a few discussions around a concept idea that I had, this was also developed into a video pitch where we had 3 minutes to really try and sell this idea or this concept. And that was a really important step in making the idea communicatable and understandable to a broad audience. And so the idea that we came up with was titled for a feasibility study, assessing teal carbon capture opportunities in a restored wetland filled with recycled water. So this idea is really around how we're going to meet the challenges of climate change and population growth in wastewater management systems, particularly for regional areas where projects like biogas cogeneration is not going to be at enough scale to be able to be implemented. So how do these small regional wastewater treatment plants become carbon neutral and maximise on the opportunities for other co-benefits as well? Is really what hatched the idea. So just to start with some definitions around blue carbon and teal carbon, I'd never heard of it until I started speaking with Deakin University's Blue Carbon Lab. So blue carbon is the carbon stored in coastal ocean ecosystems in plant material and the sediment below the water column, such as seagrass or mangroves and salt marshes. And teal carbon is really that freshwater non-tidal ecosystem, so those wetland equivalent systems. And why are we talking about it is that teal carbon storage offers a real opportunity to investigate how water corporations can both manage wastewater volumes and also store carbon at the same time. So just an overview for the Hydrovation Challenge timeline. There was some delays, there were some big things that happened. So it started off in November 2019, then there was the bushfires, then the top ideas were selected in February 2020, then we had the global pandemic. Regional judging was in June, July of 2020 and the state final in October 2020. So, it spanned a much longer time frame than it was first planned to. But that actually was great for my project because it enabled me more time to reflect on really what my key messages were, and really that development space time was really actually quite valuable. So just to provide an overview for the project site, this is the wastewater treatment plant in Coronella, so it's actually on the mainland, about 100 k's out of Melbourne, 140 k's out of Melbourne. It's a 100% reuse site, and we have this low-lying parcel of land area next to our storage lagoon, which wasn't suitable for irrigation, and without having an ability to discharge, this land sort of wasn't really being used. So hatched the idea around it was a previous water body which has since been drained and removed from agricultural practices. So the idea was, could we use this area and convert it into a restored wetland, and if we did, how much carbon could we potentially store in this wetland system? So this would also provide additional storage at our treatment plant site that we needed to do anyway to meet future growth, but could we combine with this and store carbon in the process? So this started off with Deakin University's Blue Carbon Lab working on their current research and understanding of carbon sequestration in wetland systems. There isn't an approved methodology for this approach, I should say, so there's no credits that are going to be happening right away, but you can see some indicative numbers there around the potential carbon sequestration. So we found about a third of the site's direct emissions of methane gas and nitrous oxide could be stored within a restored wetland site covering this sort of low-lying area from the feasibility level. So this was further developed into a concept design where we wanted to bring in what the site's needs were, and we needed to actually store around 60 megalitres of recycled water to meet our future growth. And we looked at different options through partners of Deakin University's Blue Carbon Lab, the University of New South Wales, and they came up with 3 different sort of design options. We quickly discounted option 1, which was a floodplain wetland system, because it was going to be very shallow and it would have meant we would have become waterway managers, which we didn't want to be. So we opted, so we're now working between option 2 and 3, with option 3 being our preferred option, in that it's a ponded-based wetland system where we can recirculate the water through the system to ensure that we're keeping the water well oxygenated and can maintain the water levels to maintain that carbon sequestration as well. So that's where we're sitting at the moment, but we haven't gone through our engagement and worked through the co-benefit opportunities yet either, so there's still room for this design to change. And the next steps for the project that we're also looking at a pilot for a floating wetland trial. This is actually at our other wastewater treatment plant, where we're looking to work with Blue Carbon Lab again, and actually they will be coming out monthly to monitor and model direct emissions of nitrous oxide and methane gas in a control and also a floating wetland system. So the real benefit of this project is that we pretty well understand how plants take up nutrients, but we don't understand the carbon part of it. And so it's really around bringing those 2 key concepts together and then how they might inform what we end up doing at the Coronella wastewater treatment plant in future as well. So some really exciting areas for future consideration, and we've really just changed the way that we're thinking around wastewater treatment, focusing on using a nature-based approach and what that can deliver for us as a regional water utility. So the Hydrovation Challenge, there was the 10,000 in seed funding, so that funded the feasibility study. There was 5,000 awarded for professional development, and what that contributed to me is a contribution for participation in the Peter Cullen Trust Leadership Development Program. So I'm still involved in that program now, and we're about to go back to Canberra for the second component of it next week, and it's just been an incredible opportunity for me, from a personal and professional development. So absolutely, very lucky and, grateful to the IWN for this opportunity. So it definitely allowed for personal and professional development and really encouraged that big picture thinking. You know, the idea of this wetland system was sort of always sitting around, but I think the Hydrovation Challenge really provided the platform to really develop that further and put it into a less than 3-minute video pitch, which is a really incredibly hard thing to do, but really focusing on the key opportunities and key messages. And that was my take home in delivering a project, really being able to communicate what the benefits of it are and what you're really trying to achieve. It was a really great process to go through. So, I just got a lot out of that. And, that's all I have. So, any questions?
Yes, can you hear me now? Thanks so much, Meg. That's fantastic. Stay there. Stay there. We've got a little bit of time. I can see afternoon tea is heading out. So are there any questions for Meg from the audience? So I mentioned afternoon tea. My mistake, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
already. It's going to be some questions. All right, I'll ask one. What was your biggest learning out of going through the Hydrovation challenge? But also, how did you apply the learning to the success of this project?
I think communication was really critical, because you can have all these fantastic ideas, but if you can sell something, if you can communicate it and the benefits of it and why, it just transforms the project. I don't think it would have happened. It's now in our PS23 program of works. I don't think it would have happened without that video, to be honest. My MD saw it and straight away was like, what do you need to make this happen? And incredible, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I'm trying to follow that through with everything that I do, and so part of the leadership program that I'm working through is around, you know, how to build your storytelling approach and to sort of sell an idea, and those sorts of things. Yeah.
Tremendous. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. Any other questions? Hang on, man. Any other questions from the audience? Yeah, there's one down the back. Hang on.
Nice, Dean.
One more comment maybe is when you mentioned you were grateful for the opportunity you had at IWN, I believe in IWN you can create your own opportunities. So when you talk about being a bit creative with video and a little bit of a different type of project, so I'd encourage all of the attendees today, physical or virtual, is use IWN as your safe sandpit to be creative and come up with those ideas and then watch them transform. So we're really proud of the work you did, Nick. Well done.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, Dean. Any other questions? Yeah, one more. Thank you.
Where are you going? Hi.
Congratulations for the presentation on the project. So, yeah, besides is there any other obstacle or hurdle that you would like to share with us and how you overcome it, besides the ones you mentioned, like COVID and stuff?
Sorry.
Is there any other obstacles or hurdles that you had in the project and how you overcome it?
Oh, other challenges and how we overcame them. Obstacles, yeah. Yeah, I think the obstacles are sort of. I think it's a matter of being sort of patient as well. I often want to get right in and start getting it done and getting the results, and not so much. I guess some of the obstacles really were the setbacks in terms of the time frames that when I thought the project would come through and get delivered, but it has, you know, I think we're going to be building and constructing in 2024, 25 now. But there are also opportunities to refine, and so I think the obstacles have been of benefit, and really to start, which we're sort of starting to do a little bit more now, which is engagement with, say, traditional owners and with our customers and community around how we could design this wetland to provide those multiple co-benefits that it's able to deliver on, so threatened and endangered species habitat, or what's kind of the local setting of our site and how could we best deliver on those opportunities through this project. So, yeah, I think that's the main one. I think having that video and having sold the idea meant that I didn't have to keep proving it anymore. It was just like, watch this and then we'll talk. And yeah, I think that really removed a lot of the obstacles. So in other projects that I'm working on, when you don't have that clear idea and vision of what you're trying to achieve, I think there are more challenges in that way. So yeah, thanks.